bring upon those two universities a little bit to try to change the mindset of the university. And if you understand what that means, the rigid structure of a university, you understand that is very, very difficult. So, so this is me, and my colleague is Florencia Morado. She is, with this goal we have in mind, to try to change a mindset of the university. We agree with what Einstein says, that in times of crisis, imagination is more important than knowledge. So we are trying to make or propose like a Trojan horse that we will bring into the universities and to try to promote and to stimulate imagination and to bring into imagination. What's important in the constructionism is all the culture that you have, because constructionism does not happen in the void. It happens in a culture. So I am going to try to give you some ideas about the culture we are in to try to make these changes. And so in the culture, I'm going to mention the pedagogical approach, historical data, geographical data, and other important things that I think it's important so we understand what are the challenges we're facing. Our universities in general in the world are facing the challenge of changing education and how we educate our people. Not only universities, of course, all into the educational system. But if we don't change education at the universities, then it's very difficult to change the rest of the educational system. You know, in January 20, there is this news that says that Harvard University in the Washington Post, to get into college, Harvard advocates for kindness rather than overachievement. And they have this program that says making caring common, inspiring care for others and common good, overachievement. So what does it mean that some of the universities are knowing they have to change, and that if we want to go, for example, to an Ivy League university, they're not going to look at your records. They're going to look at your kindness. What does that mean? For us in Costa Rica, it's like, whoa, what's this? What's happening in this world? See this vice president of people or the operation at Google. That was in the New York Times on June 20th in 2013. And he says, test scores and college achievements are worthless as criteria for hiring. Worthless. When I read that at Google, and not all of us are going to go work at Google. But if he's saying that in 2013, then we've got to do something. We've got to change something about what is it that we're doing in traditional education. So we started to think that we really needed imaginators in our, not only our university, but in our country. And of course, empathic and caring. That's what Harvard is pushing us to do or pulling. Context aware with all this climate change and all this worldwide worry about our planet. Flexible thinkers, because what you know today, it probably won't be necessary tomorrow. You have to change again. Design thinkers, team workers, collaboration-oriented, creative, and productive. So what are the experience, the educational experience can you offer to have these competences developed in people? And not only imagination, but innovation. What does that mean? Inter and transdisciplinarity. Our departments are very specialized departments that need to be still in place, need to start talking with other departments. Creativity, multimedia, flexibility, interages. Formal and informal learning together, and this is what the Imaginatorium is about. Interages, interdisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity, multimedia, and of course surpass traditional teachers' different roles. So here's a little bit of history. Where does all these ideas come from? And first from Cambridge to Costa Rica. Of course, we had first in 1989 that Leda shared with us on Monday. We had Seymour Papert and his students that came with the constructionist approach, and we started with this program that is already 29 years. And then there's another contribution from the Media Lab, and it's the Fab Lab. Probably you know Neil Gershon-Felt from the Center for Beats and Atoms, and at the IT Media Lab, the idea was how to make almost anything, and that is what was the Fab Lab in 2001. So in 2002, there was a researcher at the Media Lab called Badilla-Saxe, and he brought the first Fab Lab out of the Media Lab and was installed in the Institute of Technology of Costa Rica, and that was in 2002. It was called the Project Luciers of Technology, and it worked very well for some years, but of course I think it was an idea that was way too ahead of its time for Costa Rica. So after 5 years, the Fab Lab, all this maker movement around the world, in the US, in the UK, in Paris, in Madrid, and many other places. And there was one here, in South of America, in Patagonia, Argentina, and the person who was running this lab, whose name is Florencia Morado, came to live to Costa Rica, and so we got together to bring, with a constructionist approach, make a space in Costa Rica that we are calling the Imaginatorium. And as I'm telling you, our goal is to have a Trojan horse and to try universities to rethink what is our role to the future, and also bringing in not only formal education, but also informal education and students or people from the community of different ages. So at the University of Costa Rica, we already have a Fab Lab, and it's called the Inventory. And the Inventory the leader is Tomás de Camino. He is a biologist and computer scientist, and most of all a hacker. And he has this Fab Lab at the University of Costa Rica, and our project with the Imaginatorium is include a low-tech makerspace within the inventory, because the inventory is very high-tech. And so there's only some professors at the University of Costa Rica, and those are the techie ones, and some students. But we want to bring in, with the Imaginatorium, low-tech within the inventory, so we can have professors of different areas that would be very, very threatened with all these big laser powders and 3D printers, to have low techs, but to bring them into the mindset with low tech, and also students of different areas also, not only the science and we have a low tech makerspace there. And we are negotiation with Tomas that they, at the inventory, can make and build the technology, low-tech technology, for the Imaginatorium. And then at the Universidad de La Salle, that is, the University of Costa Rica is the largest university, it's a public university, and it has lots of resources. La Salle University is a very small, private, non-profit university, and it doesn't have those much resources, and we are starting with the Imaginatorium at the University of La Salle also. So our identity at the Imaginatorium is low-tech, because we do not have resources. So we are going to use different kinds of materials that we're using, different kinds of materials that people can use to make things and to program objects, but with low-tech technology. We're putting a lot of effort into collaboration, and this is very difficult. In Costa Rica, formal education, we are trained to be individual. This is my work, this is my grade, I don't want anybody to copy me, I don't want to share this with anybody, and now we need to collaborate, and this has been a major challenge. We have to make this together, and we have to share this, and Lena needs my part, and I need to give it to her, because otherwise she will not be able to do it, and I have to share that. And so that has been a major challenge, one of the major challenges we've had. And the other is bridging gender and age gaps. Of course, the gender gap is always very present, and girls and women do not think they are technical or they have those abilities, and the boys and men are also don't think know about that, so they are in control. And that is one of our main goals, to bridge, but not only the gender, but the age gap also. We want professors, students, and children, and everybody together there, making things. There's no, and at the heart of the Imaginatorium is the constructionist approach. And of course, at the heart of the Imaginatorium and in our hearts, there is Seymour Papert and all his ideas, and so our pedagogical approach in the Imaginatorium is constructionist. First, of course, learns from mistakes, make to think, and we don't want to separate making from thinking. But we would like to, in a more recursive way, making first and then thinking, and then making and then thinking. And we got that idea from a workshop we did at the University of Costa Rica some time ago, and Claudia Obrea was there. And so it's not only about using the technology and collaborating and having a product or a creation. It's about thinking, what is it that you did and why is it that you did it? And thinking collaborative, all the group. And well, this is a quote that Cynthia mentioned this morning, and that I saw that all of us know very well, as you can't think about thinking without thinking about something. And this is something that is at the heart of the Imaginatorium. So we are at the Imaginatorium thinking about something at the Imaginatorium. So we do and we make and then we think. And there is, so we get in groups and we think. And this is a very old knowledge from humanity, and this is why Confucius said, learning without thought is labor lost and energy waste. So we don't want to waste anything, so we have to make and think. And this is very important. And one thing is that we do not have a place at the Imaginatorium yet. We're looking for funds. So what we have at the moment is maker workshops to go. We have a car that is Florencia's car, not mine, because I have an office and I have a schedule and I have to be there at the office. But we have Florencia's car. We have 3 workshops at the moment, playing with codes and bits, sensing those stories and making on their screen. The first one is more like programming, the second and robotics or programming objects. The second one is more with language and with sensors and with lights. And the other one is programming only on the screen. And then in the Florencia's car, we had a toolkit that we take with us. So for the programming, we have the Eleonora, and I hope soon Overworks. Last night, Roger told me that they're going to be soon available. We have the software, but well, the software we just downloaded and where we go because it's free. Comic, live, clip, scratch, copy, what you need. And then a set of materials like LED lights, motors, batteries, conductive materials, cardboard, paper, pencil, alligator clips, anything we need to make. And then sometimes we go to a classroom at a university. Sometimes we go to a meeting, a faculty meeting, and we just get there and ask them to play with us and then think about what is it that we're playing and how does this relate to your subject and why you think knowledge that you are learning yourself and that your students could learn, and would you apply it in your classes, and of course no, and why not, and why this doesn't apply. And I don't think we have an impact immediately. There's a lot of resistance, but this is what we want, just to make them think, and because they will have to start moving. Also, we go to schools, and we go to high schools. These are some of the results of the workshops. The idea is to make things, have fun, collaborate, and what we would like to, that's Florencia. What we would like to achieve is provide the opportunity for self-organized learning of digital culture, innovation in the intersection between technology, design, social sciences, art, co-creation for collaborative learning, co-management of change and complexity, especially at the level of universities, co-produce, create new collaborative strategies, learn to improve construction of meaning, stimulate innovative and creative people, generous with their knowledge and resources, looking for a more caring, equitable, and peaceful world, and of course, get a space. That's what we need. We don't know if it's going to be a huge bus, so we can leave Florencia with her little car, or an actual space at one of the universities. So that's what I wanted to share with you.
Eleonora, I am also part of a group that's trying to improve the way they are teaching at the university. And this developed this talking about active learning, flipped classroom and so forth. And one thing that I discovered, there was a lot of teachers at the university doing things, but nobody knew that they are doing something like this. Do you know whether in these two universities you have people doing the kind of, not exactly what you're doing, because you're bringing specific type of technology, but this approach to whatever they are doing in the classroom, but nobody knows?
Yes, that's exactly what happens, Jose, because is pushing them to do the curriculum, and you have to do it at this time, and then the test and the evaluation and the assessment. So they are trying to do things, but they don't tell anybody. And but when we start to discovering them, we are building a network. So the network that the job I have at the University of Costa Rica is I'm the director of the network of faculty development. And this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm connecting them so they don't feel isolated, and they feel that they can strengthen each other, and then they can share ideas. And there have been beautiful initiatives that are coming from them. I have a professor of biology that is using the flipped classroom and the clickers and all that. And he asked me to design a project, but it was his idea. I'm just in charge of the logistics of an open classroom. But at the university, that's not very common. Everybody just shuts the door. And he opened his classroom for faculty of all the university, other disciplines. And I said, nobody's going to go to see a class of teachers of art or, I don't know, social stuff. And they went. And he had the room open. And so building the net is what is going to help them with some of these challenges, and some of them don't like at all, some of them are very resistant, but with the ones that want, building the net is what's more important.
Any other?
But you mentioned the Trojan horse up there, and that concept's really interesting to me. And you may have mentioned this. Can you talk to me a little bit about support for what you're doing? Is there administrative support for this? And who are those types of people that are supporting bottom-up ideas? So top-down support for those bottom-up ideas, such as what you're trying to do.
Yes, I think you need support from the vice president of the university. The one who was before, that is when I started with some of these things, and the vice president now. They believe in this, that there has to be a change. They believe that, and they know that the university is very rigid, and so that we have to do it with faculty that are volunteers, without threatening anybody. But they are, yes, they are, of course, supporting. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any resources to do it. But bottom up, the network that I was mentioning, identifying who are the faculty that are doing things, related things, and then putting them together. That's kinds of support.
All right, time for one more question.
I just wanted to make a comment that to you, and then you introduce them to people's spaces that might be more powerful than having people come to a place they already don't want to come. So,
Again,
I said that it seems like maybe you don't want that space because
maybe I
as
want
far
more
as-
bus.
Yes.
The big bus. Maybe.
Or the small bus. Well,
Yeah, I know, and that was a joke. To go with a car, it's going to be terrible, but it has proven to be good. So I don't know if we're going to have.
Have a mobile space.
Well, that's the bus. Well, yeah, that's the idea of the bus, to have not only the toolkit, but all the space. That's it.
All right, thanks again.
Thank you very much.